Greetings everyone, hope all of you are having an absolutely fantastic day. Owlcat announced the next major patch for Rogue Trader will be a complete rebalancing of the game. Over 2,500 changes are planned in the form of fixes and improvements. My assumption is this will be coupled with the Void Shadows DLC they announced, which should be coming out in July. Yesterday, Owlcat dropped an update talking through 4 areas where the game will be significantly rebalanced to improve the player experience. I have to admit, I am mixed on what they are planning, and that makes me very curious how the community is going to feel about it. Be sure to leave me your thoughts in the comments below. I'm going to walk through what they are planning first, and then at the end of the video, I'll share my personal perspective. Here at Slandered Gaming, we focus on CRPGs, so if that kind of content interests you, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe for more videos. Alright, Owlcat says based on player feedback they have gathered, there are 4 areas where the game was having the largest negative impact. Excess of additional turns, overscaling in the late game, Sanctioned, Psykers, and Pyromancy, and then finally, Arch-Militant overturning. Let's start with excess of additional turns, which refers to multiple talents that allow you to take extra turns for attacking or buffing the party. They already debuffed this to some degree in patch 1.1 by changing some of the officer mechanics. They are going significantly further in patch 1.2 by combing through multiple abilities and changing how they function. 2 examples were provided for this. Seize the Initiative currently provides officers with an extra turn that is always at the beginning of combat. Following the patch, it will instead allow officers and their allies who are under the effect of Voice of Command to deal additional damage, specifically to enemies who have not yet acted in combat. That's a massive debuff, especially since enemies usually come in large groups and many of them will be able to act before your party members. And another example, currently in the Hero's Footsteps, allows Master Tacticians to get an extra turn the first time any of their allies use a heroic act in combat. After the patch, it will provide a stacking +5 bonus to Fellowship when an ally uses a heroic act, and a +5 toughness bonus when they use a desperate measure. This is definitely a debuff, but it hurts less by mid-game because as long as you consistently generating momentum, party members will be popping off heroic acts left and right, allowing you to stack Fellowship very high, which is nice. When it comes to late game overscaling, Owlcat believes there are multiple items and abilities that stack in ways the developer didn't expect. They believe it's way too easy to see 8-digit damage numbers on your screen. To address this, a ton of abilities, items, and talents across the game have been updated to now apply flat bonuses when they previously provided multiplicative bonuses. They've also changed some percentage-based bonuses to be stronger early game, but much less so in the late game. They provided 3 examples of this change. Offensive Pattern Prediction is an operative talent that limits the damage enemies affected by exploits can deal towards you by a percentage amount equal to 3 times your intelligence bonus. After the patch, it will be 3 plus your intelligence bonus, which is obviously a significant debuff, especially in the late game. Reveal the Light is a very popular navigator ability that allows you to target one ally and give them a bonus to willpower and toughness equal to 4 times your willpower bonus. After the patch, it will be 4 plus your willpower bonus. This is yet another massive debuff, as Reveal the Light is one of the few abilities that really anchor Cassia's build. Owlcat also mentioned Deadeye Shot, Killing Edge, and Confident Approach have all been tuned or tweaked, but they are not specific as far as what has been done. They especially mention Killing Edge as allowing you to deal damage numbers that are way too high. Next up, Owlcat received feedback making it clear that Sanctioned Psykers, especially those focused on fire, paled in comparison to the power Adira, who's an unsanctioned Psyker, was capable of. I could directly speak to this, as I live streamed the game as a Pyro sanctioned Psyker, and for more than half of my playthrough, Adira was 10 times more useful. To address this, following the patch, Sanctioned Psykers can take their Psi rating increasing talents significantly earlier. Your Psi rating determines the effectiveness of your Psyker abilities, along with allowing you to access higher tier powers. You will be able to take an increased Psi rating at levels 4, 14, 24, and 34 instead of 10, 20, 30, and 40. That is a significant change that I certainly would have liked to have during our playthrough. Unsanctioned Psykers can also start taking the talents earlier to ensure different archetypes have similar access to advanced psychic powers. So essentially, Sanctioned Psykers will have a lower Psi rating, but they will be able to take higher level Psych powers earlier. In another major change, the damage for the majority of pyromancy powers has been bolstered significantly, including Ignite, which is your starting pyro power and was absolutely paltry for a huge portion of my playthrough. Owlcat is adamant that now pyromancers don't need to rely on conventional weapons for the first half of the game. I'll definitely be checking this out when the patch is released. Next on the list is Arch-Militant overtuning. Owlcat says, based on observations and community surveys, Arch-Militant is considered the most effective archetype with a sky-high damage potential that players easily could exploit. This is interesting because I always felt that Officer was the most effective class because it so clearly made everyone around you better, while Arch-Militant is at the end of the day just a damage dealer. Anyway, to address this issue, Owlcat has slightly reduced how much versatility you are able to generate using the class. They mention again that Confident Approach has been changed along with Reckless Rush and Wildfire. Of those, Wildfire is the one I am worried about because I absolutely love that ability. Owlcat makes it clear this isn't a major nerf, it's just tweaks to make the damage numbers more reasonable. Finally, Owlcat did provide a couple of notes about what they plan to update in the future. All of the encounters will be re-evaluated to address known difficulty spikes or areas of the game that feel too easy. They are also going to look at conviction points because there's an understanding that the game doesn't provide nearly enough of them. I have played through the game twice and neither time was I able to max out the conviction despite sticking to it every available opportunity. These changes won't be available in patch 1.2, but Owlcat is definitely aware of the issues and planning to work on them. Alright, so with all that being said, what are my thoughts? First, I think it takes a lot of guts to make changes like these because players hate having their toys taken away. Most especially in a single player game, the community is usually going to feel like nerfs are unnecessary and instead you should just buff the areas that feel weak. It was obvious to me after the last patch that the endless extra turns we were capable of generating didn't line up with how Owlcat thought people would play the game. It would be almost impossible to make Rogue Trader a more difficult experience without tuning those down. I am okay with these changes because it seems like Owlcat has a specific vision for the game that they don't think has been realized yet and are making adjustments to bring that vision into reality. I am really curious if playing that game will be a significantly different experience than playing the game at launch. Sometime later this year, I'll probably spin up a new playthrough and see how things have shaken out. I guess the only part that I do find disappointing is that these updates are focused in the area of the game I don't care nearly as much about. Combat is a lot of fun, exactly how it is, in my opinion, and I don't really think making encounters more difficult is going to improve the experience. If there's one thing the new Elden Ring DLC has proven, it's that a lot of players claim that they want a more difficult experience, but when the rubber meets the road, it turns out that's not what they want at all. Instead of dialing up the difficulty, I'd be much more interested in additional voice acting being added to the game, more companion content, making Act 5 better, adding more unique weapons into the game, or things of that nature. I know there's a large group of players who will be thrilled with the changes and hopefully it will motivate them to circle back to the game, but I also hope sometime this year Owlcat releases patches focused more on the areas that I care about. I will say though that Psyker changes are deeply needed and great to see. Pyro Psyker was way more painful than it should have been. I look forward to playing as a true Master of Flame in Rogue Trader very soon. That's all the information I have about patch 1.2. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Are you looking forward to this update? Do the nerfs give you any concern? Do the Pyro upgrades motivate you to revisit the game as a Psyker? Let me know down in the comments, and as always, I hope you enjoyed this video. Take care.